Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mystical Awakenings right here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, the best place on the web, and we're very fortunate to be a part of it. So tonight, I don't have to bring my guest in because she's right here with me. Lisa Girard is a wonderful person. We have worked together for about 12 years now. We were both called into a case together. Well, not together. That's how we met, is on the case. And we hit it right off. So Lisa's been doing amazing work for a very long time. And I'm super thankful for that because, while I have always done the paranormal and I'm a medium, so I see the other side. I see scary things. I see crazy things. But the stuff that she does, it's not my cup of tea. It scares the dickens out of me. So Lisa grew up in a haunted house, right, Lisa?
A couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. So you dealt with spirit and probably other things all of your life.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And as we were talking earlier, of course, we talk nonstop all the time anyway, but you made the comment that, hi, Tim and Michael John. We love Luna too. You were about 10 years old when you told your family you are going to be a demonologist. That's what you're here to do.
I was going to hunt demons.
You were going to hunt demons. Yeah. That's right. Didn't really know that real true word, probably. So how did your family take that news? What did they...
Not well. They swore I was going to hell. And they sent me to Sunday school. Lots of different Sunday schools. And I told everyone at Sunday school I was going to hunt demons.
Aha.
So they didn't want me in Sunday school.
Were you kicked out of Sunday school?
Yeah.
I was too.
Yeah. A few of them.
Yeah.
Or given those, remember those little Bible books?
Oh, yeah.
And they would highlight these pieces of scripture that basically said I was going to hell.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, I was too, because I talked to dead people. And that's, yeah. That's it to them, like working with demons.
But did you ever believe it?
No, because it was who I was and it was a part of me. So I guess when I was little, I kind of fell for the I must be really bad type thing. But now I'm good with it. Now I'm good with it. So your family tried to get this out of you. It had to be so frustrating on both ends. Not only, just the whole idea of you doing this, you having a desire to do this. And as a parent, I would think they were probably terrified for you. But you don't really have that fear.
There's fear there, but it kind of spurs me on. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say the fear is exciting, but was telling you before, I feel like I'm protected, and I've never had anything major happen to me. Yeah. And it kind of gives me that courage to keep going and experiencing things.
Yeah. Okay. And I think it's really important that people understand, and as we were saying earlier, intent is everything. If you have that knowing that you are protected, that goes a long ways. Yeah, Tim Shaw and I have had some really deep conversations about that whole issue because, he's like, yeah, people run around and they're doing these blessings in the sage and I just don't need it. I know I don't need it.
Right.
And there's a lot to be said for that. So, it's cool to have somebody, with me who doesn't have that kind of, you don't doubt it. When you go to do your work, you're there 1000%. And I love that about you. Going back to when we first met, It was kind of comical because you let me know right away that you didn't believe in psychics.
I don't, for the most part.
And I think I assured you I'm not really a psychic, I'm a medium, even though a psychic, you have to be psychic to be medium. But, and I think I let you know that, this whole demon thing was not something I was comfortable with.
I think you told me that you like blank out, like you don't hear them, you don't see them.
Right. Yeah, it's totally different. Like when we go into homes, and we've done, like you said earlier, quite a few cases together. I feel human spirit. I connect with human spirit. Somehow I know when I walk in, even if they don't show themselves to me, I know they're there. It's a whole different ball game when it comes to other entities like demons. I don't feel it.
And see, I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
When I feel those shifts, and I'm not psychic, there's nothing special about what I feel, it's just experience. I can feel the difference between going into a haunted house that has human spirit and the negatives.
Yeah.
And I connect with the negatives somehow.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Years ago, and I think I was like 11, my mom was a medium, and a friend had called her, wanted her to come to her house to see what was going on. So, my family's always kind of been in the paranormal investigating. Now, this was, over 50 years ago, or over, yeah, long time ago. Maybe not over 50. But anyways, we walked in, and I just felt this heavy, and it wasn't like human spirit, but there was a heaviness, like something was suddenly on my shoulders and on me, and I didn't like it at all. Is that kind of what you feel?
For me, it's almost like a funhouse effect. It's like an off balance. I kind of feel off balance. And it is heavy. And you feel like they're right in your face. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because I'm recognizing, since we started working together, before you, it's no secret that I would say, oh, you might have dark stuff in your house. No, call someone else. I wouldn't even deal with the case. But since we started working together, now it's like, heck yeah, I can do that. I got Lisa. I can call Lisa. She'll save me. Where was I even going with that?
Feeling the difference in the energy.
Oh, yeah. So now I kind of recognize that, okay, I'm not feeling human spirit, but I'm feeling this ick. Kind of a heaviness for me. That, this is more your ball game. So I guess it's kind of a trial and error thing. But I was afraid to, even consider thinking that before you came along to save me.
It doesn't bother me. That energy doesn't bother me. And like I was telling you before, there's almost a humor to it. It's like a challenge, but never, you shouldn't speak about that because once you voice that challenge, you're going to get a challenge. So, but that's what it's kind of like.
Well, I know before cases, you founded Paramyst, a paranormal investigative team that was, based on all hauntings, whether it was human or otherwise. And I was on your team for a while. And then you had some health issues and had to kind of put things on hold. And I started a team, and you were, so we've always worked together. I just get goosebumps. Thinking about it. But you would get a call for a case, and it was almost like before you would get a call or before I would get a call, something would happen. And you would know, okay, this is, for you, this is going to be a fun one. For Deb, she's going to get the crap scared out of her.
Well, for me, I would have like I used to wear a St. Michael's medallion,
Hmm.
and I'd still have the necklace on, but the medallion would be someplace where I'd see it, and it was definitely off the necklace, and it was a solid ring that would hold it on my necklace.
Hmm.
I don't know how it got off,
Oh,
but
wow.
it would be like on my pillow, or on the floor in front of a window that I always looked out, or whatever. It was always someplace where I could see it,
Hmm.
and I would have nightmares before.
So is it common when you're dealing with demons? Not, I don't like the whole demon thing, but
Negatives.
negatives. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I got.
That's easier for me.
Yeah.
Um, is it common to have nightmares?
Yes. Yeah. It for me it is. I've always tried to learn how to do this by experience rather than reading a book and trying to do it the way
Hmm.
everyone else was doing it. That never worked for me.
Right.
So it just things came to me as they came to me, and nightmares were one of them.
Okay.
And they're not just regular nightmares. They're vivid and horrible. The
Wow.
worst thing that you could possibly think.
But yet you are still okay with working with them. Or working, I shouldn't say with them because.
No, it's kind of like I said, they challenge you
Hmm.
and they want to see what you could do.
Okay.
But the negatives that we've worked with together, we've been successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've done some pretty crazy things together. Yeah. One case that we were on, I just want to bring this up because it was interesting. Because it was a big case that I think you had worked on several times. How long did you have that?
With the barn and the two
Yeah.
houses.
Hmm.
Oh, I had worked that probably 3 years before I brought you in, maybe 4.
I'm still mad at you. No.
I know.
um,
Not really, because
not
that got
really.
you over the hump.
It did. It did.
I had to know. I had to know honestly what you were getting. And I didn't want to tell you
Right.
what was there.
Well,
So,
yeah, you had kind of we'd been together for a while, and you'd kind of, experienced some of my abilities with mediumship.
mhm.
In fact, I think at that point you had even set in on a reading or two with me. Um, and you decided, okay, I'm going to pull one over on Deb.
No, I'm kidding. You're the only
And you
one I
called me and said,
trust.
go to this case with me. I've worked on this case for a while. You really like the people. She's going to cook for us. And
She did.
it's great. So, of course, I said, yeah, sure, I'll go. Well, what I didn't know is that, number one, it was a case that a very serious, severe case that
Mhm.
you'd been working for a long time. And it had some negatives involved.
Mhm. Some things that I had never seen, even.
So you were testing to see, I don't know, were you testing to see if what the homeowner was saying was true or what? I don't.
I needed a direction to go in because for the years that I worked on it, it seemed like it was amping up. Things were getting stronger and I was seeing things I'd never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know if what the homeowner was telling me could possibly be true. What she was getting, things that she was feeling and getting.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that you did on that piece of property was spot on with what she had told me. And you had never met her.
No, I had never met her. I had never been there. That's what, like 2.5, 3 hours from where
Yeah,
we
it's a
live.
ways. It was a hike.
Yeah. So I had never even been in that area. But I want to take a second and say hi to some of these beautiful people. Maria and Elizabeth Saint, I miss you like crazy. Nancy Loeb, so good to see you. Everybody that has popped in to say hello. Hello, Dana.
Hi, Dana.
My buddy Dana, I love her to pieces. And Jessica. Hi, Jessica. Kathy and Terry and Dale.
Dale.
And Michael and Timothy. So, I'm going to take it off the chat. Oh, and my
Hardly.
wonderful, beautiful wizard. Hi, honey. I love you.
Hi, honey.
So I don't like getting distracted, so I try to leave the chat off and let
Mhm.
Bill handle that. So if something comes up that we need to see or someone has a question, he'll put it on the screen for us. So in doing that case, we spent hours, literally. How many hours were we there?
We showed up, what, in the morning,
Mm,
sometime in the morning, because I wanted it to be in the daylight, you know, because
right.
it would get kind of freaky at night. And we were there until well after dark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, after I remember doing, our final cleansings and all that, and it was dark out.
Yeah.
But there were some really weird things that happened during that. One of them was we were walking through one of the homes, and apparently you said to one of the investigators,
Watch her.
Watch
She's going to
her.
get pushed. And I don't remember saying it, but it is on the EVP on the recordings. And it's definitely me.
Yeah. And
I
did.
Yeah, it was just a few minutes later and she got pushed back.
Yeah. A pretty hefty push, too.
Mhm.
But
That wasn't spirit.
No, not human spirit.
No.
Not human spirit at all. I want to backtrack a little bit and give you guys a little bit more knowledge about Lisa. She's amazing, but this truly is something. Now, if you look up demonology, how do you become a demonologist? Well, on the web it says read a book, and call yourself a demonologist.
A lot of people do.
Not this woman. She has literally studied for years and years, most of her life, on the whole aspect of it. She spent quite a bit of time working under Bishop Lung.
Not really working under him, but taking
classes from him,
Yeah.
Learning from him. But I think that you still, even though you learned a lot,
oh yeah,
over all the years,
he's pretty amazing,
and you learned a lot from him as well.
Mhm.
But you still do it Lisa's way. And I think for every, I think
pretty stubborn.
You're a good example though, because for every person, you kind of need to do what feels right for you.
Right. I didn't want to learn from a book.
Right.
I wanted to learn from actually doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just want people to know that there's a lot of background here, that you're not just somebody that picked up a book and went, oh, Demonology 101. Okay, I got this.
Yeah.
No, it's in your blood. It's something that you have always been drawn to, growing up in haunted houses and stuff. And you were even told, kind of picked out of a huge crowd by a psychic years ago, and told that you had a past life as a demonologist.
Or I was either possessed or had worked as an exorcist. Is what she told me.
Okay, an exorcist.
Somewhere in a past life.
But you've never done exorcism.
Oh, I wouldn't.
There's a humongous difference between an exorcist and demonologist.
Right.
And don't you think people get confused about that?
Absolutely. And I think lay people that are doing all these exorcisms, I mean, you could really hurt somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Doing that. I'm not going to go that direction. I want to be the one between the ghost hunter and the exorcist that, studies it and discerns what it is and all of that.
So there comes a point when you're working with people that you realize either something is attaching or they're heading for possession. Are there steps before? I mean, what do you look for?
Well, we've worked on an attachment case.
Yes, we have.
And I think there's things that happen as it's taking place. And that case was pretty classic, but there were some new things in it that I had never heard before. She was losing time. She was losing, memory of some things that she was taking part in. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of fighting that was going on, a lot of disagreements, and a lot of anger that wasn't normal for her, and she told me she could feel it clawing her on the inside of her body.
Ooh,
And,
even though I know this case, I was there, I got goosebumps.
yeah, but you could see it come forward. I mean, I didn't know, and I honestly had no business taking on the case because it was basically trying to get rid of an attachment. And I don't feel I should be working that. But it was like kind of a last minute, sudden thing. And we just did it. And it worked. Thank God.
Yeah. It was that was pretty incredible because it wasn't like it was actually somebody on our team, somebody right in the house with us. And it wasn't like, okay, we have time to, call in an exorcist and all that. But I don't think it was to that point. Do you?
No.
I mean, there was a definite attachment, but not like, are there steps before possession?
Yes.
So was this like a step, early step, late? I mean,
I think she was pretty well into it. I mean, when I came over to talk to her to see if she had any changes or anything, her eyes changed. Her eyes became slits, and she kind of ducked her head down and she looked up at me like with that grin.
Yeah.
You left the room.
I couldn't do it. I mean, it freaked
I
me
knew
out.
at
I
that
saw
point,
that look, and I
her
had
whole
to leave.
face changed. It didn't even look
That
like
was
her.
scary as hell. I'm telling you.
It was interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
And she's a close friend of mine too. I didn't want
To you,
anything
it was
to happen.
interesting. To me, it was scary as hell. But that's why you do what you do, and I do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God it worked.
Yeah.
She had gotten bit. Remember, she had gotten bit on the arm like a week earlier, and I was checking on her every day. Are you having any nightmares? How do you feel? Is the bite gone? All these different things. Are you fighting? Are you, how's your anger? That kind of thing. And she didn't have really a lot of clue. I got more information from you than I did from her. And that's another clue.
Yeah.
That's where she was losing some of her memory and some of her time. She didn't remember certain things happening.
And I want to say I have somebody in the audience, the listening audience, that is recently received almost an identical bite on her arm. And I'm hoping she's still listening and really keep an eye on things. Contact me if need be.
Yeah, it was a weird bite. And we had gone to, was it Paracon? Right after that? Because I went up to John's office and I was asking him about that case. And he said, that's not a snake bite. Because it looked like a snake bite. It looked
like a snake bite.
But there weren't enough punctures.
Right.
He said there would have been 4 punctures because they have bottom teeth as well.
That's right. And there's 4 on this person. So that's okay.
Yeah. The one that we dealt with was only 2.
Do either of you have an opinion of those diagnosed with mental illness may be possessed or under siege by a soul vampire-like entity? I'll let Lisa answer that first.
That's a complicated question.
It is. It is.
This is why when we go on a case that we think could be, approaching possession or oppression, they have to have psychological testing done first. Yeah. There's no question about that, because none of us want to walk in and assume that, it's a demon and take care, start whatever we're going to do with that person. So as far as vampire entity, energy vampires I think they're real, but I think it's totally different. I think the symptoms that people have with that is totally different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're answering the question or not.
Right. Yeah. And I pretty much agree with that as far as, and that is something I learned when I started working with you, Lisa, is when you take a case, I would take a case and I would just go in and get the basic info and all of that. And if they seem to be, drug users or have mental illness issues, I would kind of politely back away and say, I don't think this is something I should do. You taught me to go a step further and, help these people, but do it with, okay, we need to get a psych eval. We need to make sure what kind of prescription drugs are you on, street drugs. Really delve deep into it and get the information, because that can honestly, Bill, KGRA, that is Bill, mental issues can mimic a possession, and vice versa. So, you have to be so cautious going in. You don't want to turn people away, but you do want to make sure for your own safety that it's not something,
Well, you could really, like I said before, you could really hurt somebody.
Right.
And if they're having mental issues and you go into it, oh, you're possessed, you have a demon, it's going to hurt them even more.
Yeah. And, we've all had cases, and I know we've had cases where other teams have actually told people, you have demons and we're going to do these exorcisms on you and do all this work. And they actually doing it. And, one case I'm thinking of from the southern part of our state, you know who I'm talking about,
I do.
Actually did this to this woman and totally destroyed this woman. I mean, she was a mess. So, you really have to take the time to find out what you're working with and, offer to go with them.
Right.
You also don't know if a mentally unstable person will turn on you. And that's 1000% true. Yeah, you have to be on guard. We're here to help.
I was studying another Catholic priest years ago, and he said something that I never forgot. And it's that if you're talking about being possessed, that you're sure you're possessed, you're not possessed. You wouldn't know when it took over. You'd know that you were losing time and that there were missing pieces, that you didn't know what happened, but you wouldn't know you were possessed.
Right. Your family might. Your family would.
People around you, right. Yeah. But not you.
That makes perfect sense.
I never forgot that.
Yeah. That's good for people to know, that if, someone calls you up and says, I'm possessed. Well, how do you know that? If there's family there that's telling them that, most of the time, I don't think those are really the people that do make that phone call.
Right. They wouldn't know to make that phone call. Yeah. Their family would, but.
Well, and oftentimes, the depression and oppression come before possession. So they aren't even in a, they're not in a reach out mode.
Right.
They're usually not the ones that ask for help.
No.
And, in our experience, some of them that have been the ones that ask for help are the ones that we have found have some
issues.
Big issues. Yeah. So it's interesting to work with. And like I said, I have a healthy fear of it.
And, I do too.
My thing has always been, and this is something I learned from Sandra Sparks, is, if you put belief in it, then it's real. If you don't, it's not. So I've never believed in demons. Okay. I'm the same way with, like, if someone puts a spell on you, you have to give that spell power. You have to have a belief in it. But that's how I operate. But you do amazing work. Okay, Timothy, reattachments. Is there a safeguard when visiting graveyards? I plan on visiting 5 generations of ancestors at same place this Christmas.
Nice. Any protection. I mean, if you go in there wanting something to attach and you provoke and you play with it, give it attention, there's a possibility that it will follow you home and work on you. And I think there's low level negatives everywhere, just like there is spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you open yourself up to it and you play with it and you think it's all a game, it's probably going to play with you, you know?
Right.
But for myself, I say prayer a lot, that, you know, in my head, and when I'm going into a case or I feel a case coming to me, and make it as unpleasant inside of you as you can. You know, be a good person. This sounds really stupid, but honestly, be happy. Don't fight with people. Don't let your anger, your control of things. Don't give it a happy home. Make it unpleasant.
Right. Yeah, because it's impossible for negative energy to survive in a fully positive environment.
I think so.
And, you know, we've seen that over and over again. Many of the cases that we, you know, it's not like we have demonic cases all over. We don't. They're really, really rare.
No, I mean, I've been doing this. How many years have I been doing this?
Oh, yeah. I don't
25 years, maybe?
At least twice as long as you've been with me.
Yeah.
And we've been working together for about 12 years. So, yeah. You know, it's not that common, but many of the ones that we go to that even have negative energy or negative other entities.
Well, humans can be negative.
Oh, yeah.
I've had some nasty humans.
Yeah. Elementals can be.
Yeah.
Little shits. They can be pretty nasty. But those usually are in negative environments.
Right.
Where there's a lot of, you know, maybe drinking and fighting and all that,
just chaos. You know, mess, living in mess, living, you know, not keeping up your house, not holding down a job, it's just mess, chaos. That's what they like.
Yeah, they like the negative environment, the chaotic environment that leads to negative.
Right.
And it makes me think of another case that we did. And then after I bring this one up, we'll talk about your scariest case. But one that we were called on, and it seemed pretty benign. We were just all there, and you know, it was a small place, very, very messy place. Having to walk over mounds of toys and laundry and all that.
I've been on more than one of those.
Yeah, but you know, there wasn't a whole lot of human spirit stuff going on. And they complained about a lot of haunting there. Even with one of the kids being carried. So,
is this Tomatoes case?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of our investigators quit that night. We thought it was fairly benign, but these people had two big, like, hunting dogs.
Hounds,
I
think, in a cage.
Yeah, in a kennel, a big kennel in the corner of the living room. And when we got to the end of the night, most of the investigators were outside. I was going to cleanse and have our other investigator, and we'll just call him Tomatoes. He knows who he is. We love him dearly.
I miss Tomatoes.
He was in the living room just wrapping up equipment so we could, you know, go. And I started in the opposite end of the place in a bedroom. And every time I would try to light the sage in Palo Santo, it was like something was blowing out the lighter. You could see the flame shoot go out. And it kept doing that. Well, finally I got it lit. And I started walking backwards as I'm going through the rooms and doing my thing. And I start down the hallway, and it was like these huge men were pushing me. It was a force that I don't think I've ever felt against me before that. And so it's dawning on me, okay, this is why I didn't feel human spirit. This is not human.
And it was real quiet.
It was very quiet.
They just observed most of the night.
Yep.
Which is typical.
We didn't really have anything going on. We thought, okay, so there's nothing here.
I mean, you could feel it. You could feel a little bit of pressure, but they hid well.
Yeah, really well. So as I'm doing this and being pushed in this hallway, thinking, oh God, this is not human spirit. I hear the two dogs in the living room start to growl. And I mean this terrified growl. So I turned and I could see straight into the living room where our poor investigator, who was like 6'2" and just this big dude who, we just adore, is standing there with his hands full of equipment, and his eyes were about this big and his mouth hung to about here. And you could tell
staring
he was
at the dogs.
Absolutely terrified. So I try to get my breath to get to the living room, and I get to the living room and I see the dogs are staring right next to him. So he knows whatever is bothering these animals is right next to him. So in the midst of it all, I'm trying to text Lisa saying, "Get
I'm
in here,
outside.
we need
I didn't know
you."
this was going on.
Yeah, it was a calm night. But needless to say, that place had a lot of negative stuff going on. And do you remember the review of the video from the living room and the dogs?
Yeah.
Can you talk about
and
that?
we did catch some shadows in the hallway. We were catching shadows coming and going in the hallway too. Mm-hmm. But by the time I got in the house, Tomatoes is standing in the living room with both hands out. He's not moving at all. He looks like a statue. And he's just staring at the dogs. And the dogs by that time had kind of settled down a little bit by the time I came in, but you caught it all on camera.
Yeah.
So we had the video and we reviewed the video, and you tell them what happened.
Yeah. And that took a few days before we reviewed the video. And it was, I sat and sobbed.
Yeah.
I really did. Because when there were points where we were all out of the home and only the camera was running, and the way it was pointed, you could see down the hall and you could see the cage with the dogs in it. Mm-hmm. And these dogs were big dogs being lifted and slammed into the wall. Mm-hmm. And they would cry.
And they couldn't get away. They were in a cage.
Yeah. So whatever was there was literally torturing those poor animals. It was heartbreaking. Yeah. Heartbreaking. So that story's out. Lisa, your scariest.
My scariest. It was
scariest moments, maybe.
It was in the location where you got pushed. This was before that. I had my two investigators, Nick and Scott, with me, and we were in the kitchen. Just the complaint that brought us out there at that time was screaming, a woman screaming inside the house, right in that kitchen, and there's nothing there. And so we went out there, and I was in the kitchen, and where they were seeing shadow people through the windows. And so I'm standing in the kitchen looking out the window waiting for, if I saw anything. And I could literally feel a blanket being pulled over me, and everything dulled. Everything that I was seeing, everything that I was hearing, it all dulled. I got confused. And all I remember is I heard Scott say, "What's wrong with her?" And I turned around and looked at him, and then it started to go away. I started to come back. And I still don't know exactly what that was, but I think it was a warning more than anything. Right. And on the recording that we got, you hear a dog screaming like it was being tortured or killed. We never heard that.
But it was on the recording.
It was on the recording, and I think that might be what she was hearing.
Wow. So maybe, and this just now dawned on me after knowing this story for years, that cloaking of sorts that that happened to you, maybe it was so you didn't physically hear that screaming.
Maybe, but it was confusing me too. It wasn't a pleasant, like a protection. It was, I saw it as a warning. you know, because you could feel the difference. I mean, it was confusing me. I didn't know what I was doing. I forgot where I was. All of that. So I don't know if Scott had been talking to me and I wasn't answering him or what happened exactly, but he knew something was wrong. So I don't even know what I was doing. Yeah, that was pretty scary.
Yeah, that always gives me goosebumps. So when you're working on a case like this, does it affect your life at home? I mean, how do you...
Well, you know, I'm pretty solitary. I
Yes.
don't go a lot of places. I don't have, you know, I don't go out a lot. I had read years and years and years ago that when you choose to do this work, that you end up distancing from everybody because they can be attacked too. And we kind of got a glimpse of that when we did where the bite happened before, and you had brought a ghost box.
Yeah.
And I'm old fashioned. I'm old. You know, I didn't believe in it. I thought it's just another gimmick. You know, there's so much on TV that's just junk.
You weren't real happy that I brought it.
No, because
I don't really believe in those.
Don't bring
I don't use them.
And,
but I did anyways. I was a naughty girl. You know, it was your team. I shouldn't have done it, but I did.
No, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit because of a name came through. And I wasn't paying any attention to it. It was just noise to me. And that name came through, and I looked at you. You heard it. And I said, what did that say? And it said it again. And it was my daughter's name. And my daughter doesn't have a common name. No. It said it twice.
Yeah. I had goosebumps again.
Yeah. I immediately left and called her and told her what had happened.
Well, you didn't even leave. I think you stepped outside.
Yeah.
And called her. And
yeah. Because that was freaky.
So it's like when you work with this, there's a knowing on both ends. Like they know you.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll hear my name. Nothing else. Just Lisa.
Yeah. And I can be on a case and not have you with me, and that will come through. So
really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that was years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think I took you the second time I went. I did. That was the Pee Wee Herman case.
You should tell that story. Kudos to Robin for noticing.
Yeah.
That.
No, that was actually Marie.
Was it Marie?
Yeah.
It was Marie. Yeah, it was.
Right. That was a case that we a lot of complaints again, a woman being tormented, her daughter being tormented. And when we walked in, she had one of the old rails around the living room where you set like antiques and teacups and
up by the ceiling.
Yeah, all that type of thing. And she had a Pee Wee Herman doll that was just sitting there kind of facing forward, kind of looking down. No big deal.
Nope.
But something about it just kept giving us the creeps. And I don't think we did a whole lot with it. We were very busy with everything else. And as we were leaving and taking some final photos and stuff like that, I think it was Marie that let out a gasp because it had turned with a big smile, like facing the door.
Facing the door.
With its hand up, like telling us goodbye.
Yep, see ya.
That was very creepy.
And that house was so tiny. Yeah. There's no way that, and there were 4 of us, 3 or 4 of us there that night.
Well, the 3 of us investigators and the homeowner.
And the homeowner. There's no way she could have turned that and none of us saw it.
No.
We concentrated on that living room.
There was always someone right in there with her. So.
That was pretty.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool, but.
Right. A lot of crazy things when you get into that. And you know, human spirit can do a lot of that type of thing too. And sometimes human spirit will even try to mimic like 3 scratches,
Yeah, I
things
don't
like
believe
that,
any of
to
that.
scare you.
Right.
So, I just want people to realize that it's not that common. I mean, in 20 some years, you've had really seriously, what, about 5 or
Less
6?
than that. I think 4.
Okay. Yeah. That's not that many.
It's not that many.
No.
Not for the years I've been doing this.
No.
And in that house with Pee Wee Herman, I think that was human.
Yeah.
I think that was human, but
yeah. But it was still funny.
it was a cool
and
thing.
It was creepy.
And I left my best recorder there. My Olympus, I lost it there.
Jeez. Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my favorite
Investigators have to deal with those things. So if somebody, if somebody felt drawn like you always did to do this kind of work, what kind of advice would you give them?
Oh, I was drawn to it so early. I don't feel it was a conscious decision for me. I think I always felt that I was picked because I didn't know. At 10 years old, I didn't know what I was doing. For somebody else, I think they have to look at what it entails and what it does to your life, because it does change your life. And how serious are they going to be? Is everything going to be a demon?
Right.
You have to be discerning. You have to know the difference.
Mm-hmm. Don't go Hollywood.
No, I don't watch anything
Right.
on TV. So that would be my best advice, is to really look at what you're getting into, because it does change your life and it does change your response to, if you're going to ghost hunt or what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Can you do both?
Oh, I've done both for years.
Does it work better that way? I mean,
I think so, because that's where I learned the difference in the energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I learned when negative things would happen. And it wasn't, I'm not saying that it was all demons.
Right.
I've had some really nasty human spirit too.
Mm-hmm.
Just be
in elementals.
I'm not sure, because I haven't studied elementals a lot. I don't know how many
Mm-hmm.
I've had experience with, but yeah, you said it well.
Yeah, so really delve into it, study it. Do you think that, do you advise people to, like what you did, and you had done a ton before you took any classes from Bishop Long?
Yeah,
but
I'd already been in it for 20 years.
Yeah. Do you think that is something that people should do?
I think they should, because it helps with discernment. And, turn the TV off and really choose your books wisely. Study the people that wrote those books, and make sure that you're not losing your opinion and your, how you interpret experiences by somebody else, what somebody on TV said or what somebody in a book wrote. That's how I've tried to learn it, is just by experience. And I think it's helped me, because I don't have all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he has 3 scratches. It must be a demon.
Right. You're not a Zach. I love that.
No, human spirit can do that.
Yeah.
I've met him though.
I know you have. He said he smelled good.
He did smell good.
Oh, jeez. But yes, this is really, really, really serious work. And I'll tell you, as confident as I am in the paranormal and ufology and mediumship and all that, I don't have that confidence when it comes to this part of it. So, I'm super grateful to have you at my side.
Yeah.
And if people wanted to contact you to say, okay, what book do you recommend? Can they look you up on Facebook? How can they contact you?
They can look me up and send me a message if they'd like. I can recommend things, but really you have to find your own path.
Yeah.
I have certain favorites that I trust,
Mm-hmm.
their opinion, and when they write about things, and I've quoted some of them tonight, but there aren't many.
Right.
And most
Right.
of them are gone anyway.
And so I'm just gonna throw this out there. Do you think that many people nowadays use the term or say things like I'm a demonologist way too loosely?
Yep. I've never called myself a
I
demonologist.
know you don't. I
I'm
call you a demonologist.
I'm a ghost girl that likes to hunt demons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get a kick out of it. You really do. I mean, I remember you doing things like, okay, I know this is going to be, a big one because this happened. And I'm going, oh my God. And you've got this big old smile.
Oh,
Like,
let's go. I'm
yeah,
ready.
I'm ready to kick butt.
But then experiencing ghost hunting too.
Right.
A human spirit and being used to things happening, watching things move in front of you or.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Human spirit doesn't scare me a bit. I mean, there's, asshole in life, asshole in death.
Exactly.
They don't, I just treat them the same way I'd treat someone here that is that way. But what you do is a whole different ball game. And I think it's that sneaky intelligence that
they're very
scares
intelligent.
me. Yeah. Because it's almost like do they know your thoughts?
I don't think so. But I was taught that they're extremely intelligent. They're very old. They've seen everything. They've heard everything.
Okay, we're down to only 2 minutes left.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I was not paying attention. Shame on me. This time always goes so fast. So, yeah, that whole intelligence thing is something I always heard too. But
I don't think they can read minds, or they're correct a lot of times, but it's from experience.
Yeah.
You know.
So they're probably like very, very, very old.
Very old and very
just
smart.
Maybe know your soul. And
well, they know humans.
Yeah.
Like, you can't hate something that much and not study them and know them, know their responses, and
right.
That's what they do.
Okay. So if anybody wants to contact Lisa and just can't find her on Facebook or whatever, feel free to get a hold of me. We're going to have to say goodnight. I really, really thank you for stepping in tonight, Lisa.
Thank you for inviting me.
A fantastic topic, and kudos to you for what you do.
Thank you.
Seriously. Thank you for having my back.
Always.
I appreciate it.
Always.
So all of you have a fantastic week. Until we meet again, may all of your awakenings be mystical. Good night.